Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our Fallout 4 deep dive series. If you're new here, this series we spend time looking into unique locations, factions, and items within the Fallout franchise. And before we get started, please consider subscribing if you're new here for more Fallout content in the future. And if you're returning, as always, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. Today, we're going to be taking the time to look at a unique set of characters that have been the spark of controversy within the Fallout community for years. Today, we're going to be looking closer at Billy and his parents, Matt and Carol Peabody. Grab yourself a Salisbury steak and a bottle of purified water, and let's take a look at Fallout 4's questline, Kid in a Fridge. When traveling to the south of University Point and to the east of Jamaica Plain, the sole survivor will hear an odd call for help.
Someone there? I can hear you. Get me out of this thing. I want out.
Is someone in there?
It's noticeable that this is the voice of a young boy, and upon further investigation, it's realized this plea is coming from a nearby rusted remains of a pre-war refrigerator. When speaking to the boy, we're given a few options of dialogue to determine what we would like to do in this situation.
Let me out.
Who are you?
My name is Billy. Please. I've been trapped in here for so long.
How did you end up in there?
I hid in here to get away from the bombs. But there isn't a handle on the inside, and it's really dark in here.
The bombs were over 200 years ago. You're that old?
I don't know how long I've been in here. A long time, though. A really long time. Please, I don't want to die in here.
Why should I trust you?
I'm really tired and lonely. Can't you just open the door?
Okay, I'll let you out.
Yes, I've been stuck in here for so long. Hurry up, shoot the door off.
With this being such an odd encounter, I question the validity of the boy's predicament and seek further explanation as to how and when he ended up in this fridge.
So, what's the story with you and that fridge?
It happened so long ago, back before everything got wrecked. When I heard the sirens, I tried to find someplace safe. When everything started to shake and fall apart, I just crawled inside. When it got quiet again, I tried to get out, but there isn't a handle on the inside. I just want to go home. Can you help me? Please?
But your parents are probably dead.
Life hard.
The sole survivor learns that the boy sought cover from the bombs over 200 years ago. Of course, this strikes a curiosity in the sole survivor as to how a child could survive this long. We then have the option of either walking away or shooting the door off the fridge, which will allow Billy to finally escape the fridge. When choosing to walk away, the fridge can be opened at a later time if the player decides to return in the future and shoot the door off to help Billy. Billy Peabody is a character of massive controversy and has sparked many debates within the Fallout community, and Billy's story implies ghoulification halts the aging process and prevents a ghoul from needing to eat or hydrate in any form to remain alive. And the biggest thing many people challenge when learning of Billy's transition is how did he become a ghoul so quickly before passing from either starvation or dehydration. These ideas are further implemented if the player chooses to help Billy find his parents. When making our way towards the marked Peabody home, the player will be approached by a Commonwealth gunner survivor named Bullet that offers to buy Billy.
Excuse me.
Cute kid. Is he for sale?
What's a ghoul child worth?
Hey, you can't sell me.
Plenty. I'll give you 200 caps. Ghouls are immune to radiation, don't age, and don't need to eat. You can work them real hard.
When asked, Bullet specifically mentioned that he is interested in the kid because ghouls are immune to radiation, don't age, and don't need to eat to survive, which I guess explains how Billy survived for over 200 years once becoming a ghoul. But the question still stands as to how Billy didn't die before turning into a ghoul. As we know, it does take some time, and it's not just an instant change following radiation exposure. But I suppose that's where the player is supposed to suspend their disbelief for this short story of Billy. Or is there something more to the process of becoming a ghoul? If the sole survivor decides to sell Billy, the player can pass multiple speech checks and could sell Billy for as much as 350 caps. And once completed, if we choose to walk away, the quest will end and we can have our additional caps and question our personal values as an individual. If we choose to do this, but then kill Bullet, the player can then speak with Billy and explain to him that the intention was to get more caps and that we were going to take Billy and find his parents still.
Kid.
You sold me, you asshole!
Hey, Billy.
You sold me? Then you rescue me? Why?
I did it to trick Bullet into giving me the money.
Maybe you could have told me that. I thought you really sold me.
Hey, Billy.
Asshole!
Once making our way over to the Peabody house, we'll encounter Billy's parents, Matt and Carol Peabody. If we travel here first without Billy, the player will notice we're unable to interact with them other than some general world dialogue.
Hi. Hi.
When approaching with Billy, however, Matt and Carol will express an intense level of excitement and their gratitude with us for finding and returning their son safely. It's during this dialogue between Billy and his parents that we learn more about the ghoulification process.
So, how did you end up as ghouls?
We didn't make it to the shelter in time.
The door was shutting as the bombs fell. We both must have taken a lot of radiation.
I guess we were some of the lucky ones. Most folks die instead of becoming ghouls. Must be something in both our genes.
So that's why you guys look like me.
Yeah, Billy. That's why. Although it's really more why you look like us.
We wandered for a while.
I believe this is the writer's way of explaining the process in Billy's transition from human child to a ghoul child, and not dying from starvation or dehydration. When I was further exploring the lore and further suspending my disbelief, I started to consider maybe those individuals that are more genetically prone to becoming a ghoul may transition into a ghoul faster when under certain pressures like radiation, starvation, dehydration, separation, etc. Or maybe I'm just simply overthinking that. I made a little post in the community tab about Billy to hint at this video and actually had a quite insightful response as to how other players may also precede Billy's transition from boy to a ghoul. So thank you, ABCDE is the key for your comment on that post. And we're going to check that out right now. One way that I rationalize it, if we say ghouls need food and water, is that he was able to stay protected from major predators by the shell of the fridge. Maybe he was still able to hear or talk to people that passed by over the years, but nobody cared to free him for various reasons. But that's why his speech isn't terrible. He got his water by drinking rain that seeped in through the seals and ate bugs that crawled through the openings, and he was just able to manage until we came along. So personally, I think suspending disbelief when it comes to Billy is what helps the player, at least me as a player, accept that a child didn't die but became a ghoul instead, and then survived sitting in a fridge for over 200 years. Now, I know at the root of the franchise, in terms of canon and lore, this still causes an inconsistency in the Fallout universe. And if we refer to the Fallout Wiki, we learn that this scenario is similar to one from Fallout 2 regarding Coffin Willie. Coffin Willie was buried alive for months, which suggests the idea that a ghoul can survive on radiation alone or even enter into a state of hibernation, which is demonstrated by feral ghouls throughout all of the Fallout franchise. In the Fallout TV series, we see Cooper Howard dug up, and as he's being unburied, the viewer can see that he has an IV drip of drugs that we could assume in context of him being a ghoul would be a radiation drip. In contrast, however, When playing Fallout New Vegas, the player will eventually encounter a ghoul named Harland, and he'll explain to the player that he had to eat rad roaches and drink condensation from pipes in order to survive. Also, in Fallout 1, the Vault Dweller learns if they take the water purifier's control chip, then all of Necropolis will die. And even in Fallout 4, if we refer to Irma's terminal, the player can learn that Kent Connolly needs sustenance to live. This is why I personally choose to suspend my disbelief and just accept that this is a necessary inconsistency Bethesda writers choose in order to create a unique encounter without killing a child. As we all know, Bethesda is not a fan of harming children in their stories. Or it could be as simple as Billy chose to lie, and Bullet may not know as much about ghoul children as he thinks that he does. I'd love to see what your thoughts on these inconsistencies are, and what you, as a player, chose to do when considering Billy's predicament.
Look, I don't want any trouble.
Just trying to make...
So while I was researching this topic and playing through the quest line, I had the thought of, what if the Peabodys are actually in on this with Bullet? If you played the quest line, then you already know that if we choose to walk away from Bullet and take Billy to his parents, then Bullet will go and gather the other gunners and retaliate and attack the Peabodys' home. What if Bullet and the other gunners already purchased or owned Billy and his parents as slaves, and they're just simply using them to lure bystanders to assist Billy out of the fridge, which then will lead them to the Peabody's home and later kill them and loot their belongings, all while selling the perception that they're under attack. This is probably where you're going, whoa, buddy, you're way off with this theory. But if we consider the facts that we have in regards to ghoul inconsistencies throughout the series, and we side with the idea that ghouls in fact do need sustenance to survive, and we understand that the world of post-Great War America is one of deception and violence, then why wouldn't Bullet be willing to get 3 ghouls to identify as a pre-war family, throw their child into a fridge, and have him lure an unfortunate soul back to their house to then be killed and looted? Obviously, it doesn't end this way because Bullet and his gang are killed. Because of this, the Peabody's only option is to then fully embrace their new identity and hand over their caps to thank the sole survivor for their unknown assistance. To further support this idea, when we find Billy, he is right across the road from 2 Brotherhood of Steel members. They can definitely hear Billy whenever he's talking because whenever we are approaching, we can hear him from very far away. Now, the Brotherhood surely would have assisted a child and then been more than willing to eradicate him once realizing he was a ghoul, unless they seen someone shove him into that fridge and chose to stay out of it and mind their own business and not get involved. Also, it's awfully convenient that Bullet is walking up the same road that we need to travel down to return Billy to his parents. And for not seeing his mom and dad for 200 years, Billy's very insistent that they are in fact alive whenever we challenge them on their likeliness of surviving for over 200 years. I know with the process of the quest, this theory may not have much to it, but considering the amount of caps that can be earned potentially, depending on which route the player takes into consideration, it could indicate more to this than thought at face value. Yes, if we sell Billy to Bullet and walk away, we can earn anywhere from 200 to 350 bottle caps and the encounter's over. But if we eliminate Bullet during this process and then continue to return Billy to his parents, and then they, for no reason, give us an additional 500 caps. But if during this process we choose to ignore Bullet's offer and return Billy to his parents, though, they'll only give us 200 caps, and then Bullet and the gunners will arrive at the house and attack us. Why would Matt Peabody give us less caps for coming straight home with Billy, but in contrast pay us more if we sell his son and then kill Bullet? That's just an odd detail and a very specific order to not kind of have a red flag on it. It's almost as if he's thanking the player for eliminating Bullet without stating that out loud. Not to mention, Billy is very easily convinced and forgiving of the player whenever we sell him to Bullet and then turn around and kill Bullet, and then simply state that we're doing it to get as much money out of him as possible, but you never had intentions of actually selling him. This may be a very flawed theory, but it's just an interesting thought I had and figured I'd share it with you guys. Do you think that there's any sustenance to this thought?
Not really anywhere else to go.
Let me thank you. Take this.
I truly enjoyed spending time learning more and exploring different ideas when it came to Billy and his parents, Matt and Carol. Although Kid in a Fridge is a very short quest line, I feel like it's a very insightful look into life outside of a vault in a pre-war world. As always, thank you for tuning into my Fallout Deep Dive series, and if you're new, be sure to check out our other videos in the Deep Dive playlist, and remember to like and share this video with a friend if you enjoyed the content. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and lastly, but certainly not least, thank you to all of our amazing patrons that continue to support the productions of videos like this one. If you're interested in further supporting the content here on the channel, be sure to check out the Patreon link down in the description below. But with that said, we'll see you guys on our next episode of our Fallout Deep Dive series.